When you realize you've grown old. Growing old doesn't happen on one particular day. It's not when you notice your hair turning silver, or when your knees creak a little each time you stand up. It's when you look into the mirror and see something quieter in your own eyes, as if you've traveled much farther than the person you once were. No one ever teaches us how to grow old. There's no handbook to tell us what to do. When the body begins to change, when friends become fewer, when conversations fall silent, and when time stops waiting for us. Aging doesn't arrive with a shout. It comes like the wind, gentle but deep. Yet, through that journey, I've learned that growing old isn't only about losing youth. It's also about gaining new things. Stillness, gratitude, and a softer gaze toward life. And through all these years, I've learned 10 lessons about how to grow old while staying warm, light, and peaceful inside. 1. When the body changes, you learn to slow down. One day, I realized I had to bend down more slowly to tie my shoes. Even sitting down on a chair made my back whisper in protest. It turns out, my body had quietly upgraded to a new operating system. Slower, weaker, but somehow wiser and more refined. When I was young, I used to dismiss sleep. Ignore the small aches that came and went. Now, I feel grateful just to wake up from a good night's rest. My body has taught me something youth never could. Slowing down is also a form of wisdom. When we start treating ourselves kindly, eating moderately, breathing deeply, walking slowly, stretching every morning, we are telling ourselves, I'm still here. I still want to live well with you. The body doesn't betray us. It simply asks us to listen. And when we do, we understand. Moving slowly isn't weakness. It's learning to treasure every breath we still have. 2. Fewer friends, but deeper bonds. As we grow older, the table around us becomes less crowded. Not because we don't want to meet people, but because life itself starts filtering, keeping only those who truly matter. When I was younger, I loved loud gatherings, laughter echoing late into the night. Now, my happiest moments are simpler. A warm cup of tea, and an old friend who understands me without many words. At this age, friendships don't need to be interesting. They just need to be real. Friends who show up when you're sick, who remember anniversaries of those you've lost, who still ask, have you eaten, even when there's nothing important to say. The circle grows smaller, but warmer. And I've learned that true friendship doesn't need noise. It needs presence. A message. A call. A quiet afternoon sitting side by side. Sometimes, that's enough to remind you. Your heart still has a home to return to. 3. The world stays busy, but you choose to slow down. There are days when I feel lost in a world that never stops changing. New technology, new slang, new trends that vanish within weeks. I used to chase after all of it. Until one day I realized, I don't need to run anymore. I don't need to know the latest trend or who's famous online. I just need to know that this morning, I could still brew my coffee, read a few pages, and listen to the birds outside my window. And that was enough. The older I get, the funnier it seems. The young fear missing out, while the old know there's nothing worth chasing forever. I no longer live with FOMO, fear of missing out. I've chosen JOMO, the joy of missing out. The joy of letting go of the noise. Of living slow, living true, living enough. 4. When you start to feel invisible, you find freedom. One day, you walk into a cafe, and no one notices. You speak in a group, and no one replies. The world seems to stop seeing you. At first, that feeling hurts. But soon, I realized, invisibility has its own freedom. When no one's watching, I no longer have to play any role. I can be exactly who I am. Wear my favorite shirt, eat dessert first. Laugh loudly without worrying about stares. Society may not notice me anymore, but my loved ones still do, clearer than ever. to my children, my grandchildren, my partner. I'm still their small, steady light. And that's enough presence for me. Growing old doesn't mean disappearing. It's the art of becoming light, graceful amid a noisy world. 5. Memories are bright, but heavy. The older we get, the more memories we carry. They shimmer, yet they weigh with time. A song from long ago. The smell of cut grass. The evening sun falling over the porch. All pulling us back to years we thought were asleep. I used to fear memories because they made my heart ache. But I've learned, memories are proof that we've truly lived. Those who've gone, the places we belong to. They live only in our hearts now. Yet they still make us smile. Each memory is a quiet mark, not loud, not shining, just real. And when we share them, with a grandchild, a friend, or ourselves, we keep a piece of life breathing. Memories are heavy, yes. But they're warm. Because as long as we remember, those we love are still somewhere near. 6. When small things become big victories. Once, it took me 5 whole minutes to open a jar of pickles. When I finally did, I laughed like I'd won an Olympic medal. Old age teaches you that every small thing can be a triumph. Tying your shoes, climbing the stairs. Remembering what you came into the kitchen for. Each one takes patience and a sense of humor. But that slowness brings a gift. Joy isn't found in great achievements, but in still having the strength to do the little things. When you can laugh at a stubborn jar lid, or smile after a good sleep, life suddenly feels lighter. Aging teaches us to see the world through eyes of gratitude. 7. Loss and the bloom of gratitude. The longer we live, the more goodbyes we say. Friends, siblings, neighbors. Names slowly turning into memories. At first, each loss cuts deep. But then you learn, sadness has its purpose. Because only through loss do we learn to cherish what remains. We hug longer, say I love you more often, and laugh a little harder when we're together. An old friend once told me, every morning I call someone I love, because I don't know if I'll have the chance tomorrow. That sentence stayed with me. It reminds me that gratitude, too, is a way of surviving. 8. The mirror, a familiar stranger. One morning, I looked in the mirror and asked, who is this man, and why does he look so much like my father? Growing old turns the mirror into a window of time. Wrinkles, silver hair, shifting shape. But strangely, I'm no longer afraid. Each line tells a story. Each gray strand of memory survived. Youth obsesses over appearances. Old age understands, what remains is what's real. When I smile at my reflection, I don't just see age. I see a lifetime of love, loss, laughter, and endurance. Still standing, quietly beautiful in its own way. 9. When roles fade, you finally become yourself. When I first retired, I was lost. No job title, no schedule, no one waiting for me to solve their problems. I asked myself, who am I now, if I'm no longer who I used to be? And then I realized, losing a role is a chance to begin again. When the musts disappear, you can finally start from one. Learning guitar, tending a garden, writing a few lines each morning, teaching the neighbor's kids how to plant vegetables. Small things, but real. Growing old isn't the end. It's the right to choose again. To choose what makes you feel alive. And sometimes, the version of yourself after 60 is the most genuine one you'll ever be. 10. Time grows short, and you learn to live deeply. Old age makes you realize how fast time flies. Yesterday was New Year. Today, it's nearly gone again. But instead of fearing it, I live more intentionally now. I call loved ones when I miss them, without waiting for an occasion. I pause to watch the rain, without rushing for cover. I say thank you more often, and argue less over small things. A friend once told me, when you're young, time feels like an endless bank account. When you're old, it's just a wallet, and you must spend wisely. Aging teaches exactly that. Don't count the days. Fill them with meaning. In the end, we learn how to grow old gently. Growing old isn't frightening. What's frightening is never learning how to live with it. Because truly, old age doesn't take youth away. It distills it, keeping only what's real. We lose haste and gain peace. We lose some people and learn to cherish those who stay. We lose beauty and rediscover kindness. We lose time and realize every minute is pure gold. And finally, I understand. Growing old isn't about losing. It's about learning to keep what's worth keeping, gratitude. If you've listened this far, remember. Age doesn't make you fade. It simply makes you more transparent to your truest self. And sometimes, only in the silence of aging, do we finally hear the voice of our own heart, clearly and tenderly.